Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back. Chosen ones need to practice detachment. But before we get into the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, for more content like this. Well, what is detachment? I give my best examples, or I give my best definitions by example, I would say. So, say you're on the job, right? Maybe you're a waitress, or a waiter, server. You see there's a couple customers in there. You might need some help, and you see, the other people, your coworkers mingling, right? Kind of have like a little huddle going on, right? We need to practice detachment from that. Now, I don't mean that you can't talk to people, but whatever gossip is going on, be careful with your words within, that kind of gossip. Because that's all it takes is someone, talking trash about this coworker or that coworker, or maybe it's supervisor or team lead. And if you don't really agree with someone's opinion, you don't have to go with them. You don't have to feed into that conversation and that gossip about this coworker or that coworker. Doesn't mean you can't talk to the people. Like, for example, I had a coworker today that was talking about, he actually was talking about his fascination with getting violent with another coworker. But is he going to be violent? No, absolutely not. I don't think so. I don't feel alarmed by it. I don't think anyone else feels alarmed by this guy. But I get it. Like, when you're kind of stuck in a line, stuck if you're in an environment where that's my kind of work, you might be packing boxes, just like busting your ass, and you see people like mingling, and you obviously need help, and it's just like no one's coming over to help. It's just like, we're freaking back, and you're just stuck there. So it's like, I get it. Your mind can play tricks on you. Chosen ones have the tendency to, see these conversations happening around them. Sometimes they get involved. Sometimes they're completely unattached from the conversation, but they're emotionally still attached to that conversation. A lot of times chosen ones will think other people are talking about them, or this person's saying that. And they might not even be talking about you. It might be something, they're probably talking about the Super Bowl, or latest football game, latest baseball game, newest UFC fight. They're probably not even talking about you. Then there's going to be other times where they're talking about you. It might be good things, it might be bad things. But you could just know, because you might see a group of people, they keep looking over at you. There's more giggling, they look over at you again. You got to get it out of the way that, chosen ones, we're beautiful, so we attract attention. And I don't really mean aesthetically. I mean, the world knows how good we are. Or at least on a subconscious level, they do. They know there's something special about you. You kind of bend the conversation towards positivity when you see everybody else. That's all I could think of is negativity. But you always find a way to bend the conversation to something that's more positive. So instead of talking about, this person or that person, chosen one will steer the conversation to something that, stems towards growth or building something. oftentimes, regular people mingle about sports, and I'm one. I know some other chosen ones that are kind of like lightly sports fans, but I see a lot of sports fans that they idolize it. This is another example of detachment. When somebody's, say, if you're a Bears fan, I live in Chicago. I'm a big fan of the Chicago Bears. Chicago, you're gonna have, like, if you're a Bears fan and you are emotionally moved by sports or football and you're a Bears fan, man, you're gonna be in a depression. Like, if you allow yourself, if you cannot detach yourself from the Bears as a sports team, like if they lose and then you feel like you've emotionally lost, I mean, then you end up in this kind of pickle, right? You're just stuck there, back and forth. You don't get to choose your own emotions anymore. You're going to let that sport or those sports players choose what emotions you're going to have. And it's just kind of silly to me, which is why I'm not much of a sports fan. Funny enough, I am more of a sports player. I do consider myself athletic. I told you guys I'm a wrestler, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. Personally, I do that, but I would much rather play a football game than watch a game. I would much rather play a game of soccer than watch a game of soccer. I'm not really somebody that likes to sit in the stands and cheer on, sports players. I'm somebody where if I'm out in those stands, and if it's a sport I like, I imagine myself playing that sport. I'm not somebody that could just sit back. It's not really in me. But we have to practice this idea of detachment. Because when we attach ourselves to this external world, we are then pulled and pushed by that external world. And if we could detach ourselves, then we no longer get pushed around by the world. And now we have to at least get an idea of what's going on in the world. But we certainly shouldn't believe everything we're told in the news. If we attach ourselves to that, then we end up just living in fear and anger. We literally attach ourselves to the mainstream media. And you're emotionally pushed and pulled by our mainstream media. Man, you're just living a whole life in fear and anger at how horrible the world is. Because no matter what your viewpoint is, there's going to be a mainstream media news channel for you that's going to pick out specific articles and specific stories that will emotionally push and pull you. The devil's been doing this since beginning of man. Anything he can find to keep regular people from discovering their true potential. Now, detachment, a lot of times detached people, or when somebody's choosing to become detached from this external world or whatever environment they might be in, a lot of times chosen ones will kind of get thought of as being aloof or not really knowing what's going on or living under a rock. A lot of people use that term, like, oh man, you must live under a rock. It's like, no, I just don't let the mainstream media whether that's fiction TV shows or the news or any of it. I do not allow it to emotionally influence me, or at least I try really hard not to let it. Once in a while, I still get ticked off about something that's going on in the world, but this is a practice that we have to keep in mind every day, because every day there's always going to be someone trying to sway us and to get fixated on a worldly viewpoint, and that takes us right out of our spiritual mind. And we don't want to be taken out of our spiritual mind. We want to stay in our spiritual mind. And if you've ever been in that spiritual mind, you know what it's like. You know you want to stay there. You know you don't want to come back to the flesh once you get there. So if you want to spend as much time as possible in that spiritual state of mind, if you want to spend as much time as possible in that flow state of mind, whether you're an athlete or a business owner, and you know that there's those specific points in time where you're just in this flow state and you get a ton of stuff done. I'm not talking about like a bipolar disorder or anything like that. I'm just talking about regular people that have experienced that flow state. For me, I experience that flow state best with athletics. Like when I'm in jiu-jitsu and I'm rolling, I totally can experience that flow state because I become detached from everything. And I even become completely detached from the fight itself. And it's just all muscle memory and body movements, and it's just kind of creates an amazing experience whenever you get a good solid hard rolling. That's why I also made another video on why God loves wrestlers, grapplers, and guys that do that kind of stuff, and how it's kind of the same thing that the whole universe is doing. Like when you look at two bear cubs rolling around, and you look at two dogs playing with each other, two cats playing with each other, a dog and a cat playing with each other, or rabbits when they're babies, baby kangaroos. You watch any of them and how they kind of move each other around and wrestle each other around. It's just like, man, there's definitely something spiritual about the sport of grappling. Something that helps people become completely detached from this external world. You might see this a lot with professional sports players, like NBA players, where you see them get into this altered state where they're just doing nothing else but playing their game, what they've trained to do for so long. And I hope that this video, I really pray that this video gets out to some regular average Joe or average, Jane, and they discover that there's more power within them, that God gave them more spirit in them than they thought that they actually had, and they can wake up and push themselves to practice something, and hopefully one day really experience that flow state at a high level of something that they truly enjoy doing. I think that covers my topic on detachment, what detachment is, and why, as chosen ones, we need to practice this skill of a detachment and emotionally detaching ourselves from outside influence. Before I go, remember, I got a bunch of blessings in the description for you guys. Some of them are investing apps. Some of them are, just really cool passive income apps. Just go ahead and give a click, do some research on it. None of it is dangerous. It's just basically free money. So go ahead, use my links, use my referral codes, since, I'm the one that told you about this stuff. I would always be appreciated. And if you're like, screw you, Jonathan, I don't want to use your link, bless you too. All right, guys, peace be with you. Stay chosen, stay real, practice detachment. Don't get all scrambled over all this BS going on in the world. Keep your faith up. Amen.